morning. Good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. This morning, we have Jim Nardone, former chief of police of the Trenton Police Department. I don't know why I always want to say the Detroit Police Department, the Trenton Police Department. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
And we also have Allan Lengel, Deadline Detroit, Washington Post, as well as his moniker. He's also known as Eastside Al. Hey, Allan.
Just to clarify, I work for the Washington Post. I occasionally do some freelancing for them.
Okay, great.
ESA, we call them.
Right. And you also have myself, Vanessa Moss. Welcome this Saturday morning. If you are joining us on any of the social media platforms, we appreciate it. What we're going to ask that you do that if you're watching it on YouTube, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. We want you to tell all your friends about the greatest show on these YouTube streets. You could join us on all social media platforms. You can join us on Facebook. And as a matter of fact, good morning, Facebookers. We welcome you here. I'm going to give a shout out to Dewayla Boys. We have no idea what you're saying, Dewayla, after good morning. Also, Dorian, good morning. And Dorian said Eastside Al. So good morning. You can join us in the comments section, but we also have a QR code that's going to be put up there. And I know last night some people had suggestions, a call-in number and all of that. Listen, this is what we came up with, a QR code, because people, we want you to come in and be our guest. We want to see you just like us. So we're asking you to join us with the QR code, make your comment. If you don't feel like it, we will go ahead and read your comment. Good morning, Mr. Davis. I'll see you a little later on this afternoon. Good morning. So I don't know who wants to get started. I've already made the introductions. Let's go.
Go ahead, ESA.
Okay. I understand I missed last night. I was at the Free Press Christmas party last night. And so anyways, I know you guys were talking about the coverage of the wedding for our mayor-elect, Mary Sheffield. And there was some debate. I mean, there was certainly, I had a good friend who said, well, that's her business. It's private. Why, I don't get it. Why did you write that? And I was the first to write about her getting married. And I just grew up in decades of journalism where you cover the mayor or whatever. And I mean, when Mike Duggan filed for divorce, we wrote about it. I remember going down to the Wayne County courthouse and getting a copy of the divorce filing, and I wrote about it. We wrote about when he got married. We wrote about when he got divorced, when he broke up first. I just think, it's a little gossipy. In the case of Mary, one of the more compelling reasons to do that was because she had a relationship with somebody previously that she was approving contracts for. He was a demolition contractor. She approved millions of dollars of contract. And people were wondering, first of all, was she marrying this guy now that she had given contracts, which the answer is no. And I understand the person she married is a very good person, and hopefully it'll be a good influence on her life and vice versa. But I felt, and ML Elric talked about it on his podcast with Mark Fellheiser, I'm not sure exact pronunciation, but in trying to explain that people wanted to know, like, who is this guy she's marrying? Does he have business with the city of Detroit? She, in a Free Press article previous to the election, when the Free Press reporter asked, said, "Oh, you've got a diamond ring," and said, "Oh, we'll talk about it after the election." I thought, I just hope that, her time in office, that she's transparent, that everything isn't secretive. I fear that she's a secretive person, and we all have levels of secrecy, how much we want to disclose to our friends or the public. But when you're the mayor, you're public.
So I weighed in on it last night, and I said, "Listen, it cuts both ways. She's a public figure. It comes with the territory, but I do think that people deserve some degree of privacy." I'm going to share a story. Of course, I'm not the mayor. I'm just a lawyer, and I'm on these YouTube streets. But a few years ago, this is a few years ago. This had to be about 4 years ago when I was dating. No, 5 years ago when I was dating somebody. And I usually I don't put stuff on social media about if I'm dating somebody. At that time I was dating someone, and I had a photo of us on social media. Actually, did he post it? At any rate, I didn't put no names or anything like that. I go to court. I promise you, this is during the time that we were on 9:10 a.m. More than one person said, "Who was that guy that you were with?" They wanted to look his name up to find out, to get some receipts. So I understand exactly where she could be coming from. But I also understand she's a public figure. It comes with the territory, and it should be expected. Now, Adolph did this comparison to her and Mike Duggan, two different people, two different situations. And I submit that she's going to get a different type of love from the media. That's how I feel about it. But that's just my little old opinion.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? And it could be. I know the free press is wringing its hands over. Well, let's do what we would do for Mike Duggan. Let's not make it, so it's like, we're going after a black woman and we're giving the white guy a free pass. I think Duggan got, he probably got some free passes, but he also got a lot of scrutiny over, the money that was given to his then girlfriend for her program, for a medical program. That and Charlie, Charlie LaDuff, who wrote for us for 4 years, hammered Duggan constantly. But I think she's. I hope that when they talked about the guy she dated, the contractor, and her chief of staff lied about it. He came out and said, yes, but she voted no against all his contracts, which was 1,000% not true. That 1 year that she went down to Miami with him, she approved like $4 million in contracts, and there were millions more after that. So all the press, it's not a good idea to lie lie to the press, and you're lying to the public. So hopefully she'll have better advisors telling her how to deal with the press and stuff. It's a whole new game going from city council to mayor. You're on a different platform. You got to deal with more bullshit from the press, and you can be like Donald Trump and treat the press like the enemy, or you can try to bring him in, which Mike Duggan, I think, has tried to do with at least some of the media, where he's tried to establish a good relationship. So you're not going to have a good relationship with everybody. Charlie LaDuff, chances are you're never going to have a good relationship with him. He's always going to be in a very adversarial relationship
with everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just Charlie,
Yeah.
I'll weigh in on that if I could.
Right.
If I could visit with our friends for just a minute. Thank you all for tuning in today. We appreciate it. We know you have other things to do. It's Saturday. It's that time of year. Thank you for being here. Janet, 6179, my good friend. Good morning to you. Karen Winston. Good morning, Janet Overall. Bridget. Hi, Bridget. It's good to see you again, Bridget. You've been gone for a little bit. Dorian Denard is asking a question. How long between the two was she dating them? What's the contractor step away and the hubby come into play? Well, we can only speculate on that, Dorian. We don't know. And I'll talk about that in just a second. Timothy, good morning to you. Vanessa the Great, good morning. Chief Jim, Eastside Al. Thank you, Dorian. He says good morning too. Good morning. Dwayla, we tried for like 3 minutes. We had a little discussion. All finger red #1, whatever that means. Thank you for being here. Couple things. We talked about Par Orgs. Hey, Par.
Yeah.
He's moving just like Michael, Edward, Duggan, all of them part of the same circle. Couple things. One thing is, I said last night, she's young, she's beautiful, she's exciting, she's a celebrity. She's not going to be a Detroit celebrity. This young lady, Mary Sheffield, like it or hate it, she's going to be a national celebrity. I believe that. She knows important people, and people are interested in what she does. People are far more interested in a 37-year-old than they are a 72-year-old or 68-year-old, whatever the case is. It is an exciting time. And on the other side, she surrendered her freedom when she ran for mayor of Detroit. And once you surrender that, you have to live with it. She's not just going to be we're talking about Kwame Kilpatrick's been out of office, 10, 12, 15 years, not just because of what he did, because of who he is.
Right. He's a public figure.
As silly as he is and some of the things he says and does, he's still talked about, right? He hasn't gone away. But I think the press has every right to talk about her wedding, to look at her wedding, to see who she's associating with. But on the other hand, let's give her a chance. She's the mayor-elect. She hasn't had 1 minute in office. And, she's a big deal. Let's face it. She's going to be a big, good, bad, it doesn't matter. She is going to be a national celebrity.
I'm not sure I agree with the national celebrity thing. I mean, Kwame Kilpatrick, I think, really became nationally known really for his being indicted and kicked out of office and and getting pardoned by Trump. I think it takes a lot. I mean, when you look at mayors around the country who are national figures, I mean, the LA mayor, maybe a little bit. The New York mayor is always going to be a national figure. But after that,
the Chicago mayor on stage with Mick Jagger, that wasn't big news when
Chicago
were talking about her.
The Chicago mayor, but even so, I mean, some of the Chicago. I mean, I can't even remember the name of the current Chicago mayor. I know I remember Rahm Emanuel and some of the others. I mean, Mayor Daley was obviously a big deal. A national figure, and he was a power broker in the Democratic Party. But we'll see. I think part of it, if Mary wants a national platform, she's going to have to get more involved in the Democratic Party. I think that to have a.
Hello, Mr. Duckett. Good to see you this morning.
Right. So I'm going to talk about the mayor-elect's father for a minute. I don't know if you guys saw something the other day. Brandon Johnson is the mayor of Chicago, is what Taylor Made. Taylor Made Media says. Dorian says, Kwame got famous for all the wrong reasons. Karen Winston said, it's time for her, meaning the mayor-elect. She needs to develop tough skin, her love life, not, it's her love life, basically. Timothy Squire Bay says she is a public official and the public have the right to know what's going on with our elected officials. One of the things that we talked about a few weeks ago is whether or not the mayor-elect is going to endorse the outgoing mayor for governor. I saw an announcement. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, where Reverend Sheffield and the Ecumenical Association, something. Anyway, they're getting together, and it appears as if his group is supporting Garland Gilchrist. So this is going to be quite interesting, I think.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Vanessa. Who's supporting Garland Gilchrist? I think you got that wrong. We might be talking about two different things.
Of course.
Sheffield is supporting.
Did I get it wrong? I thought he was supporting. I thought he and his group were going to support Garland Gilchrist.
No.
What is
that was the opposition point to that.
Oh,
I believe.
Okay, I read it wrong. Okay.
I believe that was the opposition point to his support of the current Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. I think he was.
You know what? I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct, because I did say Jocelyn. I did see Jocelyn Benson. That he's supporting Jocelyn Benson. I'm sorry, not Garland Gilchrist, but Jocelyn Benson. I think it's very interesting that he is not supporting the person who endorsed his daughter. And I don't know if that had a huge impact on how people voted, but the outgoing mayor said, "Hey, I have all the confidence in the world in her, and I am endorsing her." And her father is endorsing. He's following the party line. Is basically what
Correct.
I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Following the party line, he is endorsing Jocelyn Benson, and I appreciate you correcting me because I did see that, but I saw the.
I was confused when I read it. That's why I remembered.
But the bottom line is, when I read it, I was like, oh, so he's following the party line as opposed to, what some other ministers in the what they're doing. So this is going to be quite interesting.
He's also horses for Senate. He's backing El Sayed.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's a tough thing to figure out. You're trying to bet on the winning horse, and whether it's Duggan or the Secretary of State, that's they have to figure that out. But I mean, her if she wants to rise, we forget Coleman Young was a national figure. I mean, he was around long enough that he was pretty well known around the country.
I think her age, Allan, that's what I'm talking about. Her age, and she's a young, vibrant, aggressive. I think you're underestimating her influence. Whether I'm not saying it's great or bad. I'm just saying that I think because of her age, because who she is, she may be the face of the Democratic Party.
She may be. Listen, we're going to take a break.
And then about Kwame too, or before.
And he was the face.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. Detroit Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition.
Homeownership opportunities are rising in the city of Detroit, and there's a house out there that's right for you and your family. You don't even have to worry about credit or getting a loan. You can win a house for as little as $1,000 and pay for the renovation cost as you go. It all starts at buildingdetroit.org and the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Our auction and Own It Now programs offer a variety of houses and neighborhoods all over the city of Detroit. These homes are in desperate need of repair and new ownership. You can begin by going to our interactive map and detailed property listings to find the right fit for you. It won't be easy, and renovation costs are not cheap, but our compliance team is there every step of the way. We will help you track your progress and connect you with local discounts to save you more money. We have already sold more than 15,000 homes in the city of Detroit, and our inventory is shrinking fast, so you don't want to miss out on this wonderful opportunity. Start your home buying journey today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. Homeowners.
Good morning. We're back. Our Saturday morning's edition of Detroit in Black and White with Allan Lengel, Jim Nardone, and Vanessa Moss. Listen, if you guys are watching, not only do we want you to comment, but do use that QR code. There's somebody that's brave enough to let us see their face today. You guys see how I came on here this morning? I have my baseball cap on. I just have some lip gloss on. Listen, I'm usually a little bit more glamorous than this, but I wasn't feeling it this morning. I just rolled out of bed and said, let me get ready for the show. So listen, you could just roll out of bed, do the QR, scan the QR code, and join us on Detroit Black and White. I'm going to go to some viewers, and then we're going to pick back up. So Dorian Denar says, Duggan is only famous around here. Half of the state doesn't know him. He also, Dorian also says, and I shouldn't say he, Dorian also says, I want her to stay low and effective like Duggan. That's the only thing she can replicate from him. Mike Brunch says, the dirt is spread out through the whole city, going to be major clean, but we hear nothing on local news. Dorian again says Horace is betting on the Democrats because he wants his daughter either in Lansing or Washington. G Money Hollywood, thank you for joining us this morning. Says her demeanor and how she's being received is nothing like Kwame. Again, if she wants to foreign politics, the pathways are there to clear. She will have more of an open door. Kudos to Mary. Terry McCrimmon says Reverend Sheffield knows that Duggan can't win as an independent. He can only help the Republican candidate. Mr. 1213 says, why would Mary Sheffield, a Democrat, support an independent and go against her own party regardless of what her father support? Kenneth Powell says, Kenneth says, like and share the edutainment. Thank you, Kenneth. Karen Winston says, well, Mary, just like President Obama, has the acceptable skin tone. Whoa, I'm just saying. Power Org says, Jim, the influence that Mary has comes from Nan out of New York.
And I want to respond to that before we move on, if I could.
Okay, where the crooked dad has ties. Go ahead.
More than one thing can be correct. More than one thing can be right. I don't know if she's going to be the best mayor the city of Detroit ever had or the worst mayor that the city of Detroit ever had. I am only...
you hope the best.
Well, yeah, let's give her an opportunity. But she's already has a penchant for buddying up to, musicians and rappers. And these are things that people talk about, whether it's fair to her or not. Big Sean, Adolph doesn't know who Big Sean is, but he's a big deal, right?
Big Sean's a big deal.
I'm not saying, I don't know where she's getting her money from. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm only saying that she is probably, since Kwame, she'll be by far the most talked about mayor of this city. Good, bad, or wherever it comes from.
I'm going to piggyback on that, and then we're going to go to some more comments. But what I find interesting is that a lot of seasoned folks say we want young, energetic people. We want to pass the torch, right? We want them to be active. We want them to make a difference because we're tired. This is what we hear from the elders. And then you get someone young like this, and then you start piling on. She's young. She's going to like Big Sean. She's going to like Jeezy. What do you expect? I mean, she's not listening to, she may be listening to Nat King Cole, but I just find it hypocritical when people say things like that because you want young, energetic energy, but you also want that energetic energy, I would think, surrounded by wise men and wise women. Correct. And that does come with seasoning.
I believe Big Sean was her classmate, so there is a connection there. Is that right, Allan, from Cass Tech?
That I know the Cass Tech alum. I was going to say that I had somebody, a younger voter, tell me before the election that the rap community really likes Mary because Mary is very accepting and not judgmental about them. And so she has a very good relationship with them. I don't know how influential we see, how the rap community is, how influential it is in the vote, but could be. I just don't know.
It's the image of younger people taking control of the government that we've been, like Vanessa said, we've been waiting for this younger group to come in and take control of the government, whether it's city government, whether it's AOC and whoever in DC. We've been waiting. We're patiently waiting for someone else to take the political process over. Look, we're waiting for the next Bill Clinton, right? We're waiting.
I agree. Look, this city has had. So Kenny Cockrell, had he lived, I think could have been an amazing mayor of city Detroit. I mean, he was a guy who related. He could go up there with the guys in the corporate board and out on the street. He was a very bright guy, a very able lawyer. He would have been great. So we're always waiting for the next, it's like in sports, you're always waiting for the next superstar to come. And, let's hope Mary's a superstar, it'd be great.
Listen, she is, I think she is a superstar. And I think that, we got to stop. We got to stop being hypocrites.
Superstar Bella.
At that age, you're going to have some missteps. That's going to happen. But listen, I'm hoping that those wise men and those wise women will be in her ear and say, hey, this is the path that you should take, but also encouraging her. Someone says Yeah, I forgot who made the comment, but basically says they want her to be who she is, not like her father. You can't help but be influenced by your mother and your father, the people who made you, the people who've had the largest impact on you. You can't help but do that. But by the same token, you can create your own path. And clearly she did. At one point in time, Reverend Sheffield wanted to be in Congress, right? He ran for Congress. It didn't happen. She listen. I'm running for a city council. She became a city council person. She ran for office. I think she ran for state rep at one point in time. But at any rate, she has carved her own path. Okay, Mr. 1213 said Jonathan Barlow. Put that one back. Put that one back up. Jonathan Barlow would have made a great mayor, but let's see what she is going to do. Listen, I think that I was really excited and I was genuine when I said, when we had all those people that was running for office, all of them offered something different, but I was very excited because I think that with the right people behind them, that any one of them could have been possibly been great as mayor of the city of Detroit.
Dwayla says you're still glamorous, Vanessa.
Thank you,
The Republicans had the state house and Senate. Why did Democrats always let the Republicans gain the governorship? Terry McCrimmon. They've already had state Congress. Pingree was better than all the mayors combined. Dorian, thank you, Dorian. He saved and modernized the city in the late 19th century. Mr. 1213 agrees with Allan. I couldn't wait to get that one in. I think that Sheffield is smart, but Kilpatrick could have had held 3 debates and successfully debated. Sheffield would have not done great in the debates, and that's why forums were held. That's interesting that you feel that way. She has paid. I think people neglect to realize, whether you like it or not, she spent some time and she was a city council president, and she was successful when she first ran and became a voice in the city. Young and energetic, not a replica of her daddy, Kenneth. Thank you, Kenneth Powell. I think that's absolutely true. And good morning to our good friend Ira Todd. Good to see you this morning, Ira. You look good. Hope you're feeling okay. More like listening to Johnny Mathis, another one with an acceptable skin tone, Karen Winston. We were all young once in our life. Baby boomers try to penalize everyone. So Superstar Bella is pointing out that some of us are prepared for the leaders of the future, but there's a lot of people that are still trying to hold on to that power. And I think Superstar Bella 1554 is right on.
Yeah, Crony, Mr. Duckett says, I'm less worried about the rappers, but I'm more worried about crony contracts and theft. McCrimmon says, Governor Whitmer likes Big Sean. I see nothing wrong with people liking their generation. I agree. Dorian says, Vanessa, we had a hip hop mayor. I grew up with hip hop. Hell, we're the same age. Hip hop is intrinsically anti-establishment by its very nature. I do not disagree.
It's not new. It's been here since the 70s, either the late 70s, early 80s.
It's 50 years old. 50.
Sure. So
Stephanie says, Stephanie Jackson, good morning, Stephanie. Power.org says NAN is the organization that is influencing these cities, state, and federal elections all across the country. And when he says NAN, he's talking about the National Action Network. Isn't that correct, Mr. Power.org? And his position is that Dan has an influence on currently sitting as the mayor. Well, will be sitting as the mayor at the first of the year, and that will be Mary Sheffield. G Money said, let's open up additional discussions about Mr. Moore. He lost it all being greedy, married with 3 kids, to bring in a high public position with heavy notoriety. There was no room for error. Jonathan, Deborah Griffin. Dwayla says, yes, as long as they are not liars, cheats, and crooked, who cares about someone being a celebrity? Karen Winston says,
people do care. People care about celebrities.
Karen Winston says, I'm not mad at her, but the world is still looking at our color as a deciding factor. I think that is true. Big Sean puts his money where his mouth is. He donated thousands to charities. That's from Terry McCrimmon. Ira Todd says, yes, sir. Good morning. I think Mary and her husband could be Detroit's Barack or Michelle if they wanted. Okay. Taylor May talking about National Action Network, that's sharpen shop. Mr. 1213 says, Universe Sheffield a chance. She could reach out to the younger generation, but have to
Heed
to advice that will move Detroit into 21st century and not take it back. No problem with the typo. Mr. Hollywood wants to talk about the guy that we spent a whole lot of time talking about last night. I think we could go back to that. But there was something that I wanted to say, and I didn't get a chance to say it. I talked to Allan the other day. Last Saturday, when I moderated the show, I was out of town. And so I'm looking at something that says 10 o'clock. I didn't realize that their clocks were set up. And so we ended the show 8 minutes before we were supposed to go off air. At that time, we had a very hot topic, and I got so many calls, Jim, about the topic. Allan was talking about an African-American driving in West Bloomfield and getting stopped. What we're talking was on the heels of us talking about ICE and stopping people.
Yes.
And there were so many comments, and I suggested that we get back to that.
I'd like to follow up on something,
because
clarify
there
something
were
too.
so many comments, and a lot of the comments were directed at you, Jim.
Good, because they didn't listen to what I said.
Because people felt like, listen, you're a cop, you really don't understand driving while black. I'm paraphrasing that it does happen. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
And like I said, I got many phone calls, and Allan and I talked about it. And I'm sure Allan's going to weigh in, but let's roll with that.
I'd really like to clarify what I said.
Okay.
Right. And I think that people misunderstood what I tried to say. My point was only this. All right.
1 second. Back up and say what you were saying.
What I was suggesting, and what irritated me, and it would irritate anybody, is that we sometimes take the truth and turn it into a lie. All right. So I was out at 5:45 the other night, and I drove through the city of Trenton, and it was pitch dark. You could not see into vehicles. I can tell you a story about stopping a stolen car at 2 a.m. And it happened to be a black man. All right. He fled. I stopped him. The first time I knew he was black was after he drove the car off into the field, jumped the fence. The first time I knew that gentleman was black was when I was this close to him. All right. My point was only about the time of day, the accuracy. If you're a black man, and Karen Winston said at DWB, when I became a police officer, it was a reality. All right. People in these small towns would stop black people all the time. I lived it. All right. I was there. My only point was at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you're a state trooper on I-75 and somebody goes by you at 84 miles an hour, you absolutely cannot see into that car. So the comment was 11 o'clock at night. All right. I defy everybody to drive down the street today at 7:30 at night tonight, drive down Woodward and look over at the other car. You cannot see inside of a car.
I disagree.
Go ahead.
I did it, Allan. Trust me. You cannot see inside of a car. Now, if it was 7 o'clock at night on a summer night and two young black men are driving up Woodward and a police officer and there's a police officer that's so inclined to stop that car, they absolutely will. My point was time of day, and that was propaganda. So you think a state trooper, if you pass him at 84 miles an hour on I-75, he can look into your car and see you're black? No, that was your argument. That's absolutely a lie.
That I'll agree with you on that if they're going 84. But look, if you're pulling up, it's 11 o'clock at night, you pull up behind a car at a red light and the lights are bright and stuff like that, oftentimes you can see, or certainly when you pull up aside of somebody, you can tell who they are, if it's a man, a woman, what if they're
drive down your street at 7 o'clock tonight and look at cars coming in your direction and tell me you can look inside that car. That was the falsehood that is at Allan. I did it for 27 years. I can tell you this: at 2 o'clock in the morning, if you pull up to somebody and the lights are red and you're at Woodward and 7 Mile, yeah, you can probably see into the car. That was my point. And I'm going to tell you, do it. I challenge everybody to drive.
I've been driving for a long, long time, for many, many decades. And
I was a policeman for many decades. And I can tell you that you cannot see inside of a car that's driving 50 miles an hour when you're driving the opposite direction at 7 o'clock at night tonight. Go do it. So that was my only point.
It's my assignment.
We take a truth and turn it into a lie because that's propaganda. That was why I was angry.
I'm saying that
I want to stir the pot a little bit, because I everybody knows that I am a practicing attorney and I represent people. One of the things that I see a lot is, we'll take a typical CCW case, right? Guy's driving, he's in a neighborhood, it's dark, he rounds a corner, cop stops him. The first thing my client says to me, he stopped me. He was a white cop. I mean, I've had this said. I'm not making this up. He was a white cop. He stopped me because I'm Black. Okay. Well, you may feel that way because of the propaganda, but I'm looking at the body cam footage and you had a broken tail light. Now, could he have just let you go on about your business? Yes. But did he? No. By law, could he stop you? Absolutely correct. Did this guy have a chip on his shoulder? Maybe. Does he dislike you because you're Black? Maybe. But at the end of the day, you can't, and I'm going to agree with you a little bit, because of propaganda, a lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon and think, like the client I'm talking about, oh, they stopped me. I was because I'm Black. No, they did not stop you because you were Black. Not in this case. Now, there are cases and there are incidents. There have been incidents reported where people in certain areas were stopped because of the color of their skin. The question becomes, what time of day was it? Was it during the daylight? Was it, late at night? What area was it in? Was there those are the kind of questions that you have to ask. You can, but when you start making these sweeping and blanket statements, it just paints an untrue picture. Is the point.
I have seen racism in policing. I've seen it in narcotics units. I've seen it in Trenton. One of the things that made me sick when I had a year or two on is I was sitting in the squad room of a police station, our police station, and somebody used the N-word. I got up and I walked out, right? Maybe I should have reported that guy, all right? He had 2 or 3 years on the job. I thought, this guy should not be in policing, all right? There are people like that in this world. There are people that'll stop you because you're Black or Hispanic or they don't like the looks of you. But at 11 o'clock at night, you can't tell. So it's wintertime. You can't tell if it's a man, a woman, or a dog driving that car. I'm going to tell you that. All right. If you follow them for 3 miles and you look in their window, yeah, you can. That's all on tape now, Allan. All of that will be on tape. It'll be on a body camera. It'll be on an in-car camera. You can tell what's going on today. You couldn't 25 years ago, but you can today. And to suggest that just because you drive through West Bloomfield, like police officers are hunting Black people, I don't see it.
Yep. Mr. Duckett says that he disagreed with you, Jim. He said, if a cop can give me a ticket at night for air freshener hanging in my rearview mirror, on Middlebill, he could see inside my vehicle. It's not that hard.
Go out there and drive around and look and see if you can tell who's who.
Is that illegal, by the way, to have air freshener on your?
Yes, you can't have it obstructing your
vision obstruction.
Right. Exactly.
And I never said.
People don't know this. People don't know this. Now, again, is that petty? Yeah, we don't know if he says, I'm going to stop this MF or he got this. We don't know. Ira said yes, racism is in the police force just like it is in the courtroom. And he asked me a question. I guess I'll try to get to it. Chandra Haynes says tinted windows make it challenging. Speed makes it challenging, but driving in the neighborhood at 9 p.m. at a moderate speed that is well lit, you can possibly see someone.
Thank you, Chandra. You're absolutely right. If you're driving down Woodward and it's all lit, but look in the subdivision, drive your car down the street. You cannot see. And somebody made a point, you can tell by some of the cars, some of the neighborhoods.
Right.
I never denied that. My point was to suggest that people are out there hunting people and they can see them clearly at 11 o'clock at night is incorrect. Get in your car tonight at 11 o'clock and drive around.
Right.
We should go for a commercial.
Yeah, we're going to shoot for a commercial. We come back. Thanks, Allan.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. We want to tell everyone thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning. Like, subscribe, and share. Listen, we got that QR code up there, and we know some of you, all of you guys are superstars, but we want to see you. Power Orgs, Miss Sheila, Ira, look, use that QR code.
Can I wrap this up? Can I talk to G Money?
Yeah, hold on, Lady T. There were Dwayla told me that she didn't understand how to use that QR code. So maybe we could put something in the chat on how they can use the QR code. I suggested that maybe even if you don't want us to see your face, maybe you can have your avatar up or whatever. I don't know how that goes, but if you can explain it to them. Okay, go ahead, Jim, wrap it up.
My point, G Money Hollywood talked about black young people. Black people are getting pulled over. He said black people, didn't say young people. It's evident. And I will tell you that I have witnessed it. I've seen it. It's disgusting and it's not going away. But my point again was the time of day. If it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're driving through maybe, I don't know, Canton or Luna Pier or whatever, the chance of a young black person getting pulled over because he's black is probably not that uncommon. But my point was, don't turn a truth into a lie, because then it doesn't work that way. And another one.
So
Mr. 1213 made a comment about minding your P's and Q's, be courteous and fight the ticket if it's unjust. And always ask Mr. 1213 and everybody that's watching, ask for the video. All right. Ask for the in-car video. Ask for the body camera video, and that will tell you the story. And the story will be, if there's police out there hunting you, then they need to be held accountable. But it's not. It may be happening at 4 in the afternoon in some places where there was not a lot of black people. I never said that it doesn't go on. I never said that one time. People didn't listen to what I said. What I said is, drive down the road and look into the car. Right now, it's 11 degrees out there, real feel. You know what you see in a car when you're driving next to it? You see this much of a person. They have big coats on, hooded jackets, hats. So you're looking at this, right? You're looking at 6 inches of a person is what you're looking at today if you go out there and get in the car. It's hard to see.
So
that was my point.
This is what I think happened. So Allan talked about a story that was in his paper, and we were going back and forth, and they looked at you a white cop, an ex-cop, and it was like, yeah, he's part of the
Sure.
he's part of the system. So
I
he don't
understand.
understand what it is to be driving while black.
No, I do understand. I don't understand from that
That's
perspective, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen people that violate the law to pull over people that they shouldn't be pulling over. I've seen people plant evidence because they want somebody in jail because, you know, they knew them 6 years ago and they dated their ex-wife. I've seen all these things. So I don't know what it's like to be pulled over while being black, but I have seen racism, and it's out there. I never suggested it wasn't out there, but don't turn the truth into a lie, because you can't see in a car at 11 o'clock at night.
So,
well, you know, again, to clarify that, you can see, I look, if I pull up, I know last night I pull up to, I sometimes look over who's next to me, or somebody's speeding up, they're kind of tailing me, and then they move over to the side, and then they pull up aside. I look to see who's in the car. I can see who's in the car.
You got X-ray vision. Congratulations. I like
Well,
that.
East Side Al Superman.
That's not how policing works, Allan. You're driving by somebody. That's not what you said. That's not what you said. You said somebody driving through West Bloomfield, 11 o'clock is going to get pulled over by
Bloomfield Hills. By the way, I said Bloomfield Hills.
So
Bloomfield Hills.
We're talking about Bloomfield.
And West Bloomfield's a different community than Bloomfield Hills.
Well, West Bloomfield has more, a larger black population than Bloomfield Hills. I mean, there are some black people in Bloomfield Hills, but very small percentage.
This all started because Vanessa talked about seeing black people in Trenton, and I reminded her that the gentleman that lives and the family that lives 75, 80, 100 feet from my front door are a black family, and that the people that live up the street in the apartments, there's plenty of black families. You were surprised. I didn't bring it up. You brought it up.
Right. No, and we brought it up. We brought it up not last week, but during the week we were talking, and then last Saturday, Allan was talking about. You were talking about the Charlie LaDuff thing, eyes picking up people, and it just grew organically. But I want to get to Terry McCrimmon. He says he was in West Bloomfield yesterday and Bloomfield Hills around 6 p.m. He said he didn't see, they didn't see one cop car in the 2 hours they were there. Dorian makes a good point, but stereotypes of black people can be the type of car you're driving. If you have hood, car, tent or no tent, you can get pulled over. Miss Sheila says, thanks, Jim, for your logic. McCrimmon says, I live in Linden, Michigan, a very small town near Flint and Fenton, Michigan. And my 3 young men, ages 18, 20, and 22, and they have never had problems with the police. Chandra Haynes says, tinted windows make it challenging. Speed makes it challenging. But driving in the neighborhood at 9 p.m. at a moderate speed that it is well lit, you can possibly see someone.
She's not wrong.
Okay, and Mr. Duckett says, we disagree with you. If a cop can give me, we already did that one. Ira says, Jim is correct, and you have racism in all courts, and I already said that.
Thank you, Ira. Ira knows as well as any. Ira knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Par.org says, Vanessa, Horace Sheffield has run for everything in the city of Detroit on down to the meter maid and was never elected to anything because his politics is selfish and crooked. The only reason his daughter Mary got into politics was so that her dad could do his work through her. Neither one of them has no business really in politics, let alone running a major city. Okay, Mr. Par.org. G Money Hollywood says blacks are pulled over at more of an alarming rate than whites. It's evident in our biased justice system with the disparities in sentencing, as well as who will serve time quicker in their first offense.
And I don't disagree with G Money Hollywood. Thank you for his comment.
I did not disagree. Mr. 1213 says motorists have the right. Motorists have to have their T's crossed and their I's dotted when driving in the suburbs, especially at night. Be courteous to the officer when being pulled over and apologetic. Fight the ticket if it's unjust.
Absolutely.
Stephanie said bad cops come in all races. Black cops violate rights daily of other blacks. If the car is speeding, the stop will be based on the traffic violation.
Thank you, Stephanie.
G Money says, I will agree with Jim. If you tell lie long enough, it does become the truth. A perfect example is the lie of Christopher Columbus discovering America. It's a flat lie. Uh, I don't know. This might be Tracy Martin. Good morning, Tracy. I think it is. She says America is obsessed with race.
And that's unfortunate.
I have a question for Vanessa. Somebody had mentioned, made a little remark about Mary Sheffield having the right tone, skin tone. You care to weigh in on that?
So I know I said when the campaigning was going on that I wondered, and I said this out loud. I wonder how much sexism and colorism was going to play in this race. And as a Black woman, colorism is very real. I did talk to someone who said to actually I could say this. I don't think he would have a problem with me saying this. Adolf told me that somebody that he and I both are acquainted with said, "Hey, I watched your show, and nobody's going to vote for Jonathan Kinloch," and he didn't say that. He said because he is too Black, meaning his skin tone was too Black. So that was just one person.
Yeah, I assume that was
in my mind. I'm saying, how many other people felt that way about him? There were other people who made comments about Santil Jenkins. They said her skin color, and they talked about the texture of her hair. If people, you can't say anything. You can't say anything because you're going to be crucified. Both of you guys will be crucified, right?
Right.
You why you talking about it? You a man, blah blah blah. But the reality is, colorism exists, and colorism not only exists in the Black community, it exists in all communities, in the Arab American community, in the Italian community, in the Latin American community, in the Mexican community. It exists. It's very real. When I was in Brazil, they had the color caste system. If you're a certain color, you're treated this kind of way if your skin tone. So do I think the colorism had something to do with some people who cast that ballot? Absolutely. Some people vote for people because of the way they look, because of the way that they talk, because of who they're associated with. Yes, I do believe that.
Okay.
So let's go ahead, Allan.
And obviously, Mary's a light-skinned Black woman, and obviously very attractive.
Mhm.
I mean, looks also play a role. I mean, I think, objectively speaking, I think Mary's a beautiful looking woman, and I think people are attracted to. I mean, look at our presidents. I mean, some people think Trump is attractive or whatever, but we usually don't have a bald.
You said who's attractive?
Some people think of Trump as being attractive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Maybe his pockets.
But when you think about it, most, it's funny when I worked at the Washington Post, the editors, the very top editor, and usually the managing editor, all had, up until recently, all had full head of hair. Like really, they were in their 50s or whatever, they had full head of hair. And when you look at our presidents, most of our presidents have, hair is like the male, all the men, like Jimmy Carter, Bush, both Bushes had full heads of hair. There were no bald. If we ever had we probably have somewhere, but most in modern times, I mean, Nixon had sort of a receding hairline, but so people have biases like that, even just little things about baldness or heavy, I mean, we have not had a heavy set president. I mean, Trump's probably the closest, but he wears it well with the suit and all that. But we usually have presidents who are pretty fit,
So can I just close this out? Dwayne LaVoice, attractive is subjective. She's absolutely right. Trump is the first orange man as president, Terry McCrimmon. I believe police officers sometimes are fishing for other problems to find a major one. And NAMRA, I hope I said that right, S75, you're absolutely right. Police officers maybe 1, 2 in the morning are looking for busted out tail light like Vanessa talked about, or a headlight out like Namra said he was pulled over for speeding, switching lanes, but for a light, and that's a valid traffic stop. You know, we've had a lot of discussion in the police community in the last 15 years about, in some communities, prohibit stopping somebody for a headlight out or a tail light or because they believe that there's some racism involved. And I think that, you know, when you have to look too hard to make a traffic stop, bad things are going to happen. Not true about Pastor Kinlock, Mr. 1213. He probably lost due to other reasons. I am in that camp, Mr. 1213. Tamika.
Well, that wasn't my comment. I'm going to go back to what you just said. That was not my comment.
Right.
I didn't say I said a particular person said that they were not going to vote for him because he was dark.
And that's
said that he had watched the show and he agreed that colorism was going to play a role.
And somebody talked about a Spike Lee film, right?
Yeah, so that's
Here's the issue. More than
words that are coming out of my mouth.
More than one thing can be true.
Okay.
More than one thing can be true.
Absolutely.
And that's, people have to understand that, as I said, a 21-year-old black kid driving a Corvette on Woodward at 7:00 may get stopped because he's black. That's not what I didn't say that doesn't occur. What I said was, you have to be able to see into a car than to jump to those conclusions that it's going on out there all the time. All communities, we live in a caste system. Chandra Hayes, thank you. It's very real. Sexism is very real. And Chandra Hayes is entitled to believe what she believes, and I don't think she's wrong in this case. My point is, we are built by our experiences. Let's quit dividing people for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
Facts. Divide them on facts. Don't divide them by your propaganda, regardless of who it is, whether it's the right, the left. Let's quit dividing people by propaganda. Let's tell people the truth and let them decide.
Jim Nardone for president.
I second
No,
that.
it's just unfortunate because people believe the lies.
Somebody asked this question here. Why there's so many people? I think, I don't know that there, you know, I have to say.
Read it, say it.
Yeah, okay, here. It says, Allan, you represent the media. Why do so many public media figures suffer from their own demons like alcohol and drugs, but want to report on others? The great Bill Bonds, Jessica Savage, and Rich Fisher. I know Bill Bonds. I don't know about Jessica Savage and Rich. I mean, I know of them. I'll say this. In the old days, when I first started at the news in 1984, the Anchor Bar, which was a big journalism bar and in a cop hangout as well, there were one of my colleagues at the news. He eventually got on the wagon, but he was sometimes drinking 6 beers at lunch. I had one of my editors when I was in the state capitol bureau. He would have 3 Manhattans for lunch at the Anchor Bar, and then at 5 o'clock, while we would hand in our stories, we would send them into Detroit, and we'd be waiting for them to be edited so we could leave. I'd have to call the Anchor Bar sometimes and get the editor on the phone and say, "Hey, come on, man, we want to go home," and he'd go back. But I don't feel like the level of drinking and stuff. It's not. I mean, look, there's still people who have. And the thing is, like, people like Bill Bonds, they're public figures, so they're out there, so they're more well known. I think every profession, and lawyers, you can speak for that, and Jim in the police, there are certainly people who have had their demons and their alcohol and drugs and all that kind of stuff. But I don't feel like it's, even in law enforcement now. I don't see it like like it used to be. You go to the bar behind the Detroit News, and you go after work, and there were like everybody there drinking, like agents, Secret Service, FBI, reporters, and stuff like that. I don't see the camaraderie like that as much as it used to be. I don't see as much like collective drinking. So people are, not to say they're not drinking, but I don't see it as much. I don't think drinking is as much of the culture as it was. And you can tell me, Vanessa, if the lawyers have changed in that way, or
so I was just getting ready to get in there with that. I think the comment was, why do the people in the media, basically people who have issues with alcoholism,
why do they report it?
I think that the real question becomes is, why do we view this as something other than what it is? It's a disease. When we're talking about alcoholism and drug abuse, it's a disease, right? So you're asking me why. This is how I'm looking at it. You're asking Allan, and Allan is asking me about someone who may have cancer. Why are they still practicing law or sitting on the bench and they're getting radiation every day? That's how I look at it, because realistically, it's a disease. If you're talking about alcoholism, now, if you're talking about somebody just going on lunch break, having a drink or two or three or four or five or six, does that mean that they have a problem or they don't? I'm just putting the question out there, because to me that statement has a whole lot of layers. That question had a whole lot of layers. Okay, so when we talk about a disease, and if you're a judge and you're sitting on a bench and you are a alcoholic, maybe you shouldn't be sitting. Your behind shouldn't be sitting on a bench. If you are and we see it in all professions, as Jim and you, Allan, said. We see doctors that have problems, popping perks, they using the medication, nurses using the medication. But the reality is, it's a disease. When it gets to that point, it's a disease. So my question is, why as a society are we treating that differently than we treat someone who has had a horrible diagnosis of stage 4 cancer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I meant no disrespect to Ayla about Mary Sheffield and being a celebrity. That was not a disrespectful. Go ahead, Allan. I meant no disrespect.
Yeah, and I guess the other part of the question is, why are these people who have these problems covering? I mean, people who have issues or whatever, but that's their job. I mean, it doesn't matter, if you're doing your job. If your job is to report on public issues and stuff like that, you happen to have the same problem. Look, it's funny. When I worked at the Washington Post, there was a guy who I did not realize, but he was a crack addict. He was a reporter, and he eventually wrote a book. He wrote a magazine piece, and he wrote a book about it. And he said he would show up to a crime scene in D.C., and he goes, and there would be his corner where he was buying his crack from. They were seeing him, so he was he being hypocritical, covering drug murders and stuff like that? He was still trying to do his job while he had a crack issue, And
a guy that I went to the police academy with in Saginaw, also, he ended up losing everything because he turned into a crack addict. So they're just human beings. Everybody's a human being. Judges, lawyers, media specialists, brilliant journalists like Allan Lengel. Everybody has challenges.
So,
and all our friends out
I
here.
am not a crackhead.
Right. So
all our friends that are here today.
Listen, we're coming to a close. I want to make sure that everybody understands that we'll be back on Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. We want everybody to have a wonderful weekend. I'm still pushing this QR code. Listen, Lady T in the background, let's give her a round of applause. We worked very hard to put this show together.
Today's her birthday.
It's her birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I know I can't sing, but I did my best. So
thanks to everybody. We don't always have to agree.
To bring Teresa on, we wouldn't want to do this without her permission. So have her come on for a second and take a bow. Teresa, are you willing to do that?
Come on, take a bow.
Ah, there she is. Yeah.
That's Lady T, guys.
The brains behind the operation.
Absolutely. So
we
want you guys to do this thing. We want you to join us. And again, she put the directions up there, and she'll put them up again on Wednesday when we're here for the show. When I'm talking, when Jim is talking, when Allan is talking, and when Adolph is talking, and boy, last night that he talked, we want you to do what? Listen.
More than one thing can be right. Right, Vanessa? More than one thing can be true.
That's right. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.